Holding her world together alone, the night was silent except for the steady hum of the ceiling fan. But inside his chest, the storm was deafening. Armin sat on the edge of the bed staring at the little figure curled up under a blanket, her tiny breaths rising and falling with innocent calm. His daughter Noor was only 6. She carried an entire world, in her eyes a world he had promised to protect, no matter what. And though he was utterly broken inside, tonight he reminded himself of a truth he could not escape. He had to hold her world together alone. Life had not prepared him for this. Just a year ago, the house had echoed with laughter, his wife Sana humming in the kitchen, Noor's giggles floating through the hallways, and his own voice blending with theirs, creating a home that felt unshakable. But cancer came like a thief in the night, and Sana was gone before Armin even understood how fast time can collapse. In the weeks after, the walls seemed colder, the rooms too quiet, and his heart unbearably heavy. Yet every morning, Noor woke up with sleepy eyes and asked, "Baba, what's for breakfast?" That simple question became his anchor. He didn't know how to cook beyond eggs and tea, but he learned. He burned roti after roti, cut his fingers while chopping onions, and sometimes ordered cheap food when his hands trembled too much. But he never let her see the cracks. To her, he smiled and said, "Your Baba is the best cook. Just wait and see." The real challenge was balancing everything: his job at the workshop, Noor's school, the bills piling up, and the loneliness pressing on his chest like a weight he could not shake. He'd drop Noor at school, rush to work covered in grease and sweat, and come back to help her with homework he barely understood himself. Math problems confused him, English words twisted his tongue. But he sat with her for hours, making sure she never felt she was walking this path alone. Still, there were nights he broke down after she slept. Nights when the silence screamed so loudly that he buried his face in his hands, whispering to Sana, "I don't know if I can do this." But then, Noor would stir in her sleep, clutching her teddy bear tighter, and he knew the answer. He had no choice. He had to keep going for her. Time tested him in ways he never imagined. Noor's school held a Mother's Day celebration, and she came home in tears asking, "Why don't I have a mama to clap for me like the other kids?" That night, Armin pulled her into his lap, held her close, and said with a trembling voice, "Beta, some children have one parent, some have two. You have me. I will always clap the loudest for you." The next day he went to her school, standing proudly at the back, clapping harder than anyone else. Oh. Noor smiled through her tears, and in that moment he realized he wasn't just her father anymore. He was her everything. As the years passed, Armin and Noor built their little world together. They laughed at burnt dinners, saved coins in a glass jar for ice cream nights, and learned to find joy even in brokenness. He taught her to ride a bicycle, cheering as she fell and got back up. She taught him to hope again, reminding him that love doesn't disappear when someone leaves, it just takes a different shape. But the greatest test came when Noor, now 10, stood on a stage for her school play. She wore a simple costume, her hair tied back, her eyes scanning the crowd nervously until they landed on him. And when her lines came, her voice shook but didn't falter. At the end, she looked directly at him and said the words scripted for the play, but meant for her father's heart. Sometimes a hero doesn't wear a cape. Sometimes a hero is just the person who holds your world together when it's falling apart. Tears blurred Armin's vision as he clapped, his chest swelling with pride. He realized then that all the nights of silent crying, all the exhaustion, all the fear, none of it had been in vain. He had given her something far more powerful than a perfect life. He had given her resilience, courage, and love that refused to break. Years later, when Noor grew into a strong young woman, people would often ask her how she managed to stay so hopeful, so determined, so full of light. And she would smile, pointing to her father, saying, "Because he held my world together when it could have fallen apart. He was my anchor, my safe place, my home." And Armin, sitting quietly in the back, would lower his eyes, hiding the tears that never truly left him. He had lived his life with one mission: to protect her, to love her, to hold her world together alone. And in doing so, he discovered the deepest truth of all. Sometimes love doesn't just keep someone else alive, it saves you too.